Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Thanks so much for joining in. My name is Jeremy McLaren. I run marketing here at Qualsys, and we are going to get started today with a topic that I've been thinking a lot about and something that's been really, really important in my mind. And that is the 3G sunset and how to actually make money during what many people are considering to be a big challenge. And we hopefully are going to show you today how that challenge can be an opportunity for you. Before we begin, I'd like to make sure that everybody can hear me okay, make sure that the audio is working, and give you an opportunity to participate in today's webinar. If you don't mind, go to the chat function on your GoToWebinar control panel, find the chat or section or question section, and type a little message to me. Let's make sure I can hear you okay. Frank, looks like you're chiming in here. Jeremy, welcome. Antonio, thanks. Scott, Dean, John, Tia, David, Jeffrey, Paul, Ken, Keith, Richard, the list goes on and on. There's so many people on today. Thank you so much for all joining in today. I know you're busy with everything else that's going on in the world right now. To be able to have the ability to see that you're all here and that everything's working and things like that is awesome. I've also got a few people on the webinar today who are going to be helping me in the background. Jason Horton, Kevin Woodworth, Mark Bateman, all of which are going to be helping me to answer questions and make sure that you have a way to participate in this webinar. The last thing I want is for you to feel like you just have to listen and that you don't actually get to participate, you don't actually get to chime in. So as we talk, as we interact, as we go through things, I want you to be able to chime in. And you might have questions or comments that are unrelated to what we're talking about. Maybe you've got a question about something with an IQ panel or something with a sensor or something with a way a feature works or things like that. You can type those into the chat as well. And we've got both technical and marketing people ready to answer those questions and ready to support you. So please use that chat for everything. We want to be able to interact with you. Paul asked a great question. Would we be able to get a copy of this webinar to review with the team after it's all over? And the answer is absolutely. This webinar is actually being recorded, and so because of the recording, we will be able to post that on our YouTube page. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you go to youtube.com/Qualsys and subscribe. You'll see a lot of great new videos we just posted recently, but in addition to that, when we post our webinars, they go into a special playlist called Webinar Recordings, and you'll be able to review this one as well as all the other webinars we've done in previous times, and you could certainly share those along. So thanks very much. So again, big thank you to Tom and Millie and Troy and Abel and Shane and Christina and Kyle and all the people that have joined us today. There's so many people on the line today. Thank you so much for all of you being here today. I'm going to do my best to answer questions as well as present. Just be aware that it's a little tricky more than anything else. And I'm going to show my screen here show my camera here for a second. I actually broke my clavicle mountain biking last week. And so I am literally trying to do this webinar one-handed. So if I flub a couple things, please be generous with me. Hopefully it'll go pretty well. So let's dive right in and get to the meat of this. The first thing I want to do is I want to start by debunking a few myths. Myth number one is that the sunset's going to get pushed. We're almost in this realm right now of everything getting delayed, right? Movie releases, ISC West, everything's getting postponed, right? Well, the 3G sunset's going to get delayed too, and that is an absolute myth. In fact, if you look at a recent article in CE Pro, they said the carriers will not only stick to their aggressive plan for sunsetting 3G, but it's become apparent that the thinning of services has already started. I had the pleasure to co-host a webinar with Jake Bowl, who is one of our distributors and also runs the Facebook group Burglar Alarms Online. And we asked the question, are you seeing, or experiencing 2G, 3G towers already going down in your areas? And 50% of the people on that webinar said that yes, they had. Now, I don't know how that compares to you, but to me, that kind of scares me. I want to make sure that there is, life left in this opportunity for us. Part of this, it means that, we've got to move fast, but we want to make sure that we've got a way to actually get to our customers and talk to them before that goes down. But the fact that it's already thinning, the fact that it's already stopping makes me really have a feeling of urgency, and I hope it does the same for you too. Myth number two, We don't have enough time, money, or labor. Large scale attrition is just inevitable, so therefore, we just have to deal with it. Well, if you look at Harvard Business Review, and I think we all know these stats, and I hope we know them, and I hope we believe them, it's 25 times more expensive to acquire a customer than it is to retain a customer. And only 42% of customers accurately measure lifetime value of their customers, through the database. So it's really smart for us to start looking at lifetime value. And instead of thinking, well, we'll just throw those away because they're on 3G, let's get started with some new ones. We'll focus on the new ones instead. Let's really try and find a way to make these customers, and I believe, and hopefully this presentation today will share with you those thoughts, that you can actually be very, very successful talking to your existing customers. And it will cause some attrition. We have to agree with that. But that as you talk to customers, that as you present solutions to them, that they'll be receptive to it. Myth number 3, my customers are loyal. They're not going to leave me, right? Well, if you're never talking to them and you're not interacting with them, I don't know how they're loyal to you, but maybe they are. There's some people who believe, well, because they're loyal and because door-to-door reps are not out selling right now because of COVID, I'm safe, I'm protected, so I don't need to worry about it. And the truth is, door-to-door reps are out. They are selling. If you look at, what Ring and Simply Safe and many others are doing, they're ramping up their opportunities. They're ramping up their marketing. They're ramping up their social media. I can very easily see door-to-door reps coming and knocking on your customers. In fact, I was talking with one of our customers yesterday, said that it's already happening where people are knocking on their doors and saying, oh yeah, your old system, it's going to stop working any day now. I can replace those rubber button keypads with a new touchscreen, and they're willing to do that and excited to do that. It's what they do all day long. Look at what Simply Safe is saying on Facebook. This is what Facebook ad that Simply Safe is running right now. Home security is a must-have. The problem, it's crazy overpriced. Meet Simply Safe. We cut out the middleman. And then they got these little charts. See how much you'll save. Traditional security versus Simply Safe. Over 3 years, you'll save $1,000. They're aggressively marketing the opportunity to your customers. And if you think your customers aren't seeing them, you're mistaken. They're absolutely seeing them. There's opportunities out there. So please recognize that, no one is immune to this. We all have to work together to try and find a solution for it. Okay. So I want to go into just the keypads themselves. There is this belief that you can simply replace the cell radio in one of these, cellular devices, whether it's a Honeywell panel or a DSC panel or a, 2 gig panel or whatever, and you change that out, and that the customer is going to be just fine. The customer will stay with you for a long time. They've been paying you up to this point, and they'll continue to pay. I want you to compare what you see here, and these are real pictures from, real customers, okay? If you had one of these on your wall, put yourself in your customer's shoes, you had one of these systems on your wall, and you saw recently an advertisement for the Nest security system at only $25 a month. What is the difference there? Would you say, yeah, rubber button, keypad is fine with me. I like my rubber button keypad. I have no interest in going to Nest for only $25 a month. And the very first question on your mind should be, is my MMR, is my monthly rate the same or similar to the Ring at $10 a month, or Simply Safe at $25, or Nest at $25? How does my compare? And if the consumer's looking at it and saying, I can at least get new plastic for cheaper, what would stop them from doing it? Is it your charming personality? Is it the love that they have for you as a provider? Hopefully it is. But I think I would have a very hard time if I had an old rubber button keypad, an old thing that was, a little bit yellow, a little bit dirty, a little bit nasty, and I saw some of the new stuff that was out there for a whole lot less. I think I would have a hard time doing it. Now I want you to compare this difference, okay? Is there a difference here? If you're looking at your rubber button keypad and then you go into the house and say, look, I can give you the IQ panel. What can you charge more for an RMR for your monthly rate? Do you think you're going to get more usage out of that touchscreen? Do you think you're going to get more upsells? Do you think you're going to get more referrals? Do you think you're going to retain your customers better when you put the beautiful IQ panel and its tablet-like form and its built-in camera and all its amazing differentiating features on the wall versus the old system they have? Will they look at the IQ panel on their wall and see what Simply Safe and Ring and others are offering and say, well, now I'm enticed? I don't think they will. I think they'll look at what they have and immediately recognize it as being vastly superior. How are you going to protect your base? How are you going to change this? There's a philosophy that maybe we all forget. And maybe some of you are dialing in from your phone right now, maybe you're dialing in from your computer, but I want you to look at your smartphone right now. Look at the kind of phone you're using, and I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time I upgraded that? And when was the time I upgraded before that? And when was the time I upgraded before that? And maybe we've got a few people on here who don't upgrade their phones very often, but I'm willing to bet that the majority of people believe that upgrading is normal. They believe that when they look at the technology that's in their pocket, that they have upgraded it multiple times, probably within the same time period that they've had that rubber button keypad on their wall. Upgrading is normal. It is absolutely normal, okay? No one goes to the store, the Verizon store, the AT&T store, and says, those fancy smartphones, I don't need that. Can't you just update my flip phone and make it so it keeps working on LTE? No one says that, right? No one goes in and says, yeah, well, I know it's a couple extra $100 more, but I'm just fine keeping that flip phone. I don't need email. I don't need apps. I don't need a better camera. I don't need that stuff, right? No, none of us have said that. None of us have said that, okay? We've all got, upgraded phones. So let's look at some real numbers here, okay? I want to talk real numbers because there is this myth, and I probably should have put it up there on the screen. There's this myth that because IQ Panel is more expensive than an LTE Band-Aid out there that you can put in one of your existing, security panels, that because it's more expensive that it's going to cost you more. And I want to show you how it's actually going to cost you less. Really, truly, okay? Take a look at this. So this is the traditional attrition line, okay? Some of you might have less, some of you might have more, but let's assume the industry average is 10% attrition, which means between now and 5 years from now, if there were no other factors, you are going to have 10% attrition. You're going to see your accounts, the total number of accounts, slowly drop by 10%, each year. Now let's look and add in the 3G sunset. If the 3G sunset happens and your accounts suddenly now halfway through that 5-year period suddenly have to take a steep dive because they all stop working, well, your 10% attrition rate just, got exponentially larger, right? Okay. Now, what if you start a marketing campaign? Maybe you use the alarm.com customer connections email that says, hey, your system needs an update. Please reach out to us. Okay. Hey, you need to, upgrade. Maybe customers, when they call into you, you say, oh yeah, your system's outdated. The cellular's not going to work for very much longer. Let's do it. Let's get you something new. Okay. Whatever the case may be, you're going to see a dip. Okay. Because if you did nothing and your attrition was 10%, then whatever marketing efforts you put in place, it's not going to get you less attrition. Okay. It's probably going to make those dip down a little bit more. So when you're reaching out to them and offering that LTE Band-Aid, you're going to create some awareness that, oh, that's right, I still have this account. Maybe I should cancel it. I'll tell you from my personal experience, I actually ran marketing for a top 10 SDM dealer. We had about 300,000 accounts, and we found pretty quickly when we started reaching out to our customers who we had never talked to for 3 or 4 years that our attrition rates were 20 to 30%. Pretty high. Now, maybe yours are better. Maybe your customers are more loyal, and let's give you the benefit of the doubt. But we have seen and we show that when you use IQ Panel instead, and here's an example of a real customer, 1,000 accounts, he charges $35 a month for those accounts, and they have a 10% attrition. When they upgraded to IQ Panel, they raised the MMR to $40 a month and asked for $99 upfront. Over the course of 5 years, they're going to make $458,000 more than an LTE Band-Aid. $458,000 more. Okay. Now, I don't want to simply just give you some generic thing and let you do it. So I want to first start with actual data, and we're going to do it from you guys. You guys are going to help me out here. Okay. So I'm going to launch a poll first. The first poll question is, how many 3G accounts do you have left to do? 0, over 50,000, somewhere in between. Is it 10 to 50, 5 to 10, 1 to 5? Where are you at? Less than 1,000? Where are you at in terms of your numbers? Okay. In terms of how many you actually have to do. And we're going to take these numbers and we're going to put them into a calculator that we've built. We've got this really powerful spreadsheet that we can enter the numbers into. And as we enter those numbers in, you're going to see that data really, really change, okay? So that's question number one, is how many accounts do you actually have? Let me close that poll, and we're going to ask the next question, okay? The next question is, what percentage of your accounts are on AT&T? Okay, so there's a lot of AT&T versus Verizon. There's, AT&T has said right off the bat, my sunset is, February of 2022. But it's kind of interesting to see where that goes on, and Verizon is shortly thereafter. Okay, so the next poll question, I'm going to close that one, and we'll ask the next one. You guys are answering these poll questions very fast. Thank you. Okay, so what is your current attrition rate? And maybe you know this, maybe you don't know this, but hopefully you know this, okay? Is it less than 10%? Is it 10 to 15? Is it 15 to 20? Maybe it's over 20. Maybe you don't know what your attrition rate is, okay? But hopefully it's, somewhere in there, somewhere in one of those ranges here. And I apologize for the broad ranges. I want to try and make sure that we capture this as best as possible to give you guys some really good, accurate results. And thank you very much for all of you chiming in on the chat as well, giving me more specifics as well. Paul and Nick and William and others, thank you for, typing those in. It's always helpful to see real numbers from people, because that helps us give you a real accurate percentage. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll, and we're going to ask the next one, which is, what is the average RMR of your 3G account? Okay, so of all those 3G accounts you just reported in on, what's the average RMR you have? Okay, is it less than $25? Maybe you're in that 25 to 35 range. Maybe you're a little higher in the 35 to 45 range. Maybe you're in the 45 to 55 range, or are you over $55 a month? And we found, again, when I was running marketing, we found for this dealer, we found that anything over $50 certainly had a higher attrition rate, although with inflation and things like that, that number might be different. But it looks like no one so far has chosen the over $55. So most of your existing accounts, are down in that $25 to $35 range. It's interesting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. And here's the next question. This is an important one too. When you upgrade to someone to an IQ panel, okay, choose all that apply. Are you also going to raise their monthly rate? Are you going to renew their contract? Are you going to collect more money up front to help cover the cost of that? Are you going to offer upsells like doorbells and cameras and things like that? Are you going to offer an incentive for referrals? These are all things, that's one of the beauties of running a marketing campaign. And again, we talked about this being an opportunity for you, right? If this is an opportunity for you in the market to talk to your customer and interact with your customer, it's not just an opportunity to upgrade their technology to ensure it still works, but it's also an opportunity to gain new revenue from them, right? You can gain new revenue through upsells. You can gain new revenue just by raising the rate, by giving them a more expensive product that you can charge more for. You can you can get more revenue by bringing in new leads from referrals. There's lots of ways that you can gain revenue from these types of customers. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll as well. And again, thank you everyone. And then the other final question I've got before we can input all our stuff into the calculator is, if you were going to raise, which many of you said you would, if you were going to raise their rate by upgrading to an IQ panel, what would you do? And maybe some of you would say, well, I wouldn't increase it at all. I'd leave it exactly as what it was today. Maybe some of you would just do an extra $5 per month. Maybe it's $10 more per month. Maybe you're not sure, and that's perfectly okay too. And some of you have got, we have to admit that some of you probably haven't quite formed your strategies or your ideas around how you want to do these LTE upgrade campaigns and what you want to do and how you want to do it. So, hopefully, again, some of the things that we're sharing today and the concepts we're providing to you today will give you some good starting points where you can start digging in and doing this. So thank you very much. So it looks like, most people would be about $5 more per month, pretty close though at $10 per month. So maybe $5 to $10 more per month. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll out. Okay. And I'm going to hit escape on my PowerPoint here, and I'm going to bring over this chart. Okay. This is how I like to dump all my information in. Okay. So here we are. You said, of all the people that were surveyed, how many accounts you have to do. Most of you were saying that you have between 1 and 5,000 accounts. Let's go ahead and leave it at 1,000 accounts, just because that gives us close to that line. So we're going to keep it at 1,000 accounts. Let's assume you got 1,000 accounts to do. Okay. Your average attrition, according to you guys, from what you said, was less than 10%. So we'll leave that at, let's put it at 9%. Okay. And let's assume you've got really loyal customers and they don't, cancel unless they're absolutely moving, anything like that. Average RMR, most of you answered $25 to $35. So let's say that the old RMR was $30. Okay. And that you would charge the same for an LTE Band-Aid. Okay. And then would you charge more for an IQ panel? And most of you said between $5 and $10. So let's put, well, you got $30 here. Let's change this to $35. We'll just do $5. We'll be nice and conservative here. Okay. So and then would you also upgrade a customer? 49% would raise your monthly rate. Most of you, 69%, would renew their contract, and you'd collect money up front. I'm assuming most of you, I should have asked the poll question, but most of you probably collect about $99 up front. Some of you might collect more. Many of you would offer upsells and like doorbells and things like that. 72% would offer doorbells. So if we said $99 collected up front plus maybe an upgrade, maybe we're looking at, let's call it $150 that you'd collect up front between upsells and things like that. Then the cost of the IQ panel, of course, will depend on what your pricing is, but most of you are probably, at $319. If you did your truck roll at, $55. Now, some of you have a more expensive truck roll. Some of you are doing, DIY or DIT, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And of course, there's the rebate we just announced this past week, and we'll talk more about that. But look at the numbers here. Okay, so here's your LTE, your 3G sunset. Okay, the yellow line. Here's your rubber button keypad line. Okay, that's your revenue. That's your monthly revenue over 5 years. Here's your monthly revenue for IQ panel. Now, we logically know there's going to be a little bit of attrition at first because you're contacting people, and some people are going to accept it, some people are not. But over the course of 5 years, when you map this out, $441,000. Okay, $441,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of money back in your pocket. Now, we would love the opportunity to do this for you in your particular scenario, let you actually, type in your numbers. So we're going to give you an opportunity at the end of this call to learn how you can do that and type in your own numbers into this and see exactly what yours are. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about IQ panel. It has the lowest cost of ownership. We just established that. You're going to make almost $500,000 more in the scenario that most of you are sharing with me today, and increased engagement. Okay, it's versatile. So no matter what's already installed, whether you've got a DSC Impasa or an old Honeywell panel or a Simon XT or XTI, or you've got a 2 gig panel, and instead of putting one of those LTE Band-Aids on it, getting a new cell radio and just changing that out and making it so that your old panel, has LTE. Again, remember this, the flip phone analogy, right? No one's going into the cell phone store and saying, can I get an LTE radio for my flip phone so it can keep working, right? Instead, you can get paid to upgrade, okay? And it's really versatile, whether you've got an old system that's 319 or it's 433 or it's 345, whatever the wireless frequency is, or maybe you've got a hybrid or hardwired solution, okay? Maybe you've got a Power G solution. Maybe it's the DSC Neo or something like that. Maybe you want to upgrade to Power G. Whatever it is, we're extremely versatile, and you don't have to buy different products to get it, okay? This is one panel with a couple different radio choices, and the software is all the same, the pairing is all the same, the training is all the same, the experience is all the same. It's really, really versatile and really powerful for you. The upgrades are tremendously fast. And again, we talked a moment ago about, potentially doing even a DIY or DIT solution. There are some great videos on our YouTube page that we'll also send out as a follow-up as part of this webinar today. And hopefully you're subscribed to our YouTube page and have seen those and watched those. And there were links to them in the email that was sent out when you subscribed to or when you registered for this email or for this webinar, excuse me. But you can very easily upgrade an existing system, no matter what it is. And here's just some numbers, some average numbers. 2 minutes to unbox it. Unknown account activation time. I don't know how long it takes you to activate an account with whether you're using mobile tech or something else. But 2 minutes to unbox, 3 minutes to run the setup wizard, 5 minutes, to pair the existing sensors that are already in the home, 1 minute to add users, and then you download the mobile app and test the system, without taking into account the things that we can't control that might take you more or less time. That's still 11 minutes of install time. Show me another panel out there that can do that. One that's as robust, one that's as powerful, one that's as enticing to your customer. 11 minutes of install time. And in many of these cases, this can be done by your customer instead of by you. So as you look at how am I going to tackle this sunset, because I just don't have enough trucks. Remember the myth number one we talked about? I don't have enough trucks to be able to, or myth number two, I don't have enough trucks to handle all this. What do I do? How do I handle this? Well, the reality is, in many cases, you can at least offer some of your customers a self-install option, and IQ Panel is perfect for that, okay? You're going to earn up to $110 in rebates, and I want to spend a minute on this because I want to make sure you guys understand how you can take advantage of these rebates, because that's a lot of money, up to $110. We're going to pay you to replace the old crap that's in there. Instead of putting in a rubber button keypad or keeping a rubber button keypad alive with an LTE Band-Aid, we're going to pay you to replace it with something the customer is going to love, okay? If you choose the IQ Panel with Power G and 345 megahertz, that's the one in the silver box. That works great for Honeywell systems or 2 gig systems. We're going to pay you up to $50 for doing that one, okay? If you choose the red box, that's the Power G and 433 megahertz panel, that works great with DSC systems, okay? So if you had an old DSC Impasa, for example, that you're taking over, you're going to get paid up to $50. If you choose the gold box, and that's great for Power G and 319.5, that's great for all the old Interlogic systems, that's great for the first generation IQ panel that the Qualys originally announced and released back in 2013, you're going to earn up to $30. Plus, if you brought this customer over from a non-alarm.com account over to alarm.com, so let's say you maybe had a SecureNet account, or you had a Honeywell account, like the Total Connect account, and you brought them over to alarm.com, you'll get an additional $30 from alarm.com for what we call a competitive conversion. And literally right inside the app, inside the Mobile Tech app, as you're creating the account, there's a section for you to check a box and say, this is a competitive conversion. It'll prompt you to take a picture of the old panel, and voila, submit that to alarm.com and you'll get your credit, okay? And if you add Pro Video with Analytics, which is tremendously popular right now, if you don't know enough about Pro Video with Analytics, you've got to get with your alarm.com reps and talk to them about it. Tremendously powerful, tremendously enticing for the consumers, and all those Pro Video cameras will also appear on the IQ Panel's screen in the form of live view and live answer. So awesome, awesome stuff. But if you add that as well, that's an extra $30 as well. Now, there's been some question about how do I claim these rebates? And it's very simple, okay? In the email that we sent you to register, and we'll send it out as a follow-up as well, there was a link to our page on the dealer portal where you fill out an application. And you only need to fill out that application once, okay? Once. You fill out the application indicating what your alarm.com account number is, what distributor you want your credits to go to. And when you've done that, alarm.com runs a report every month for us and provides us with the number of accounts that you've done that have gone from 3G to LTE or have been competitive converted from non-alarm.com to alarm.com, and we will automatically pay you the appropriate amount. So you only have to do it once, and it's instantly credited to you as part of the process. So really awesome. There's some great questions here. Let's answer some of those. Keith asks, is this for customers who have an alarm on a landline too? Great question, Keith. And I think that's probably a better question for alarm.com if they would consider a landline a competitive conversion. If a landline is considered a competitive conversion, then it would qualify, yes. But I don't know the answer to that. So it's something that we'll have to, and if there's any alarm.com people on the line today, please chime in and let us know. Kyle asked a great question. Why is it less for the 319 panel? Good question, and it's because the 319 panel actually costs less in distribution. So this should, in essence, make all three panels become the same price for you. So when you go into distribution, you look at your price at distribution, it won't matter which system you're looking to take over, which kind of panel you're looking to take over, the price will essentially be the same for IQ Panel for all three of them. So great question there. See if there's other questions here that we should answer. I think that's good for now. All right, let's dive in. So we talked a little bit about, in previous webinars, if you've joined our previous webinars, about light glove versus white glove process for do it yourself or do it together. And you can certainly reference some of those webinars on our YouTube channel if you'd like to. And we're happy to have conversations with you about, what might fit your scenario. But I wanted to share with you some of the things we've done to help enhance this process. And if you remember, those of you who were on those webinars previously, we introduced this idea of being able to install a system for a customer without having to send a technician, that the consumer would do it themselves. And all the green stuff represents stuff that you as the company would do, and the white boxes represent things that the consumer would do, okay? And you can decide whether you want to do a light glove and let the consumer do as much as possible, like pairing sensors and, connecting things, or you're going to do as much as possible at your warehouse and ship it out to the customer. The big difference here is in the top section, the light glove section, you never have to open a box. And there's specific features we've built into the panel that make that possible. So I want you to think about your 1,000 accounts right now, okay? That's most of you said you got. You have 1,000 accounts out there that need to be upgraded, and you're thinking, how on earth am I going to get 1,000 truck rolls here in the next 6 to 8 months, right? Because I got to be able to get them as soon as possible, so I'm earning that higher MMR and making more money and things like that, right? If I ship out or deliver a box to someone and let them install it themselves, and again, the videos we talked about just a minute ago show them how to do that, what percentage of my customers are open for that? You've already got the IMI printed on the outside of the box. You've got a battery pre-installed. The power is very easy to connect. There's a table stand included. It's easy to snap on. If all they have to do is snap those things together and now plug it in and power it up and then follow the on-screen wizard, that's actually very simple. And then they can go through these steps in white, whether you prepared all the sensors or you're going to let them pair the sensors. They go through the steps on the on-screen wizard, and voila, they've got their system all set up. Will there be a percentage of customers who aren't comfortable with that? Of course there will, which is why you still have the Pro Install as a solution for you. But does that mean that every single customer has to be Pro Installed? No. So remember, as you're approaching this database, as you're approaching this challenge, that you're not alone. Everyone pull out your smartphones. Hopefully, maybe some of you are looking at this on your smartphone. But I want you, if you've got your smartphone camera available, pull out your smartphone camera and scan that QR code right there, okay? This is going to take you to our most recent playlist. It was just published today with all of these new videos on there, okay? IQ panel install for DIY and DIT, and it shows a nice close-up, beautifully made video about how to pull it out of the box, plug it in, power it up. There's the great video about how to do it with the door sensor. We've even made 2 different versions of the door sensor one where the adhesive is pre-applied, because maybe you do that for your customer in a more white glove scenario, or maybe there's one where the adhesive is not pre-applied, and so you can do that one. Motion sensor videos, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, window sensors, flood sensors. We've got a whole series of videos that you can provide to your customer to further support your DIY, DIT scenarios. Now, some of you are thinking, hey, I could use this for some of my installs during this whole COVID nonsense that allows me to not have to drive a truck to their house, right? And now I can maintain social distance by letting them do some of the install. Yes, absolutely you could. In fact, we've been working with several of our customers to take these videos and help them get them onto websites where the consumer would literally be, emailed the link to a website. They open up that website, and as they scroll through, it gives them step-by-step instructions in the form of these videos. It's an absolutely beautiful experience. And all of these videos, again, are available on our YouTube page. There is no charge to use them. You are welcome to use them as much as you want, and we are here to help you with all of it. So in summary, IQ Panel has the lowest cost of ownership. You're going to protect your base long-term. You're going to have lower attrition. You're going to increase your engagement. You're going to increase your camera upsells. You're going to increase your RMR. You're going to be able to get those rebates we talked about. You've got faster installs. It's Pro ready, DIY ready, DIT ready. You've got fewer truck rolls. You can do a lot of remote troubleshooting. And you're going to increase their engagement. You're future-proofing the entire solution with software updates. There's powerful features like Bluetooth touchless disarming, or the built-in panel camera with disarm photos that they're not going to get with the rubber button keypad they have that you would put an LTE Band-Aid on. You're going to get powerful features that are going to engage them, that are going to entice them to refer friends, that are going to get them to, buy more from you, get more upsells, use the system more, stay with you longer. And through those software updates that you're going to get regularly, you're going to be always updating. So when that door knocker comes along and knocks on the door and says, hey, I want to sell you the latest touchscreen technology, your customer is going to reply with, I've got the latest touchscreen technology. In fact, I got a software update last month and my panel is awesome. Does it have anything like this? I can't tell you how many times I've talked to companies that are doing door knocking that say when they come to a home that already has an IQ panel in it, they don't even bother because they can't compete. Because they're either already selling IQ panel or their solution doesn't compare to IQ panel. There isn't any other solution out there that has the number of features we have. You have. These are your features. These are things that are differentiating you and helping you out. And there's an almost endless stream of marketing support and assets. So don't wait to get started. We want to help you figure out your own personalized sunset calculation. The spreadsheet that I showed you today will work with you. Email sales@qualsys.com and let's talk about your numbers. Let's plug your numbers into it. Let's talk about how much money you can make by choosing IQ panel instead of an LTE Band-Aid. And I guarantee we have not yet found a solution or a scenario where, solution's the wrong word, sorry. We have not yet found a scenario where you won't make money during the sunset. We have not yet found one. So I'm challenging you. Please give us your numbers. Give us your actual attrition numbers. Give us the accounts you need. Tell us how many accounts you've got. Tell us how many, upsells you typically do. Tell us what your MMR is and what you would raise it to. Help us know all of those numbers, similar to what we did in the poll today. Help us know those for you and your business, and we will show you how you will always make money with IQ Panel. I hope this has been tremendously helpful for you. Let's go to the questions and see if there's anything that we can ask additionally. Thank you so much. Libis asked, are these videos available offline or can we brand them? Good question. The videos we talked about are available offline. Absolutely. If you send an email to marketing@qualsys.com, you can get a link to those videos. And once you've downloaded them, they're very easy to change out and add your own logos and things like that. So yes, very, very easy. Mark says, when Jeremy's done, we should all say amen. Thank you, Mark. That's very nice of you. I do sometimes get a little soapboxy like a preacher, don't I? Paul says, for a short time, IQ Panel 2 was available for the 2 Plus. The owners of these panels would be interested in the daughter boards for other equipment, like upsells. What does someone who got a 2 do to replace their 1 when the Plus came out a few months later? Very good question, Paul. There are a few people out there in the market who have an IQ Panel 2 and maybe want the IQ Panel 2 Plus. The advantage of the 2 between the 2 and the 2 Plus is the 2 Plus has Power G. And if you've got some customers who are very interested in a Power G scenario and getting Power G sensors, I don't think it's tremendously unheard of to replace their panel with the 2 Plus so they can get some of those Power G devices installed in their homes. I've even heard of a few customers out there, and then you would have to decide if and how you want to do this. A few of you dealers have taken the Power G card out of systems where you didn't need it, so you could then use it for systems where Power G was needed. I talked to someone the other day who said that they had a panel that was an IQ Panel 2 that needed a Power G card. They had another customer they were doing as a 3G upgrade. All they wanted to do was take over all the existing sensors. They had an old Honeywell system, old wireless Honeywell system. They took over all the 345 sensors. Because they didn't add any new Power G sensors, they took the Power G card out of it, took it over to the other customer's house, and installed it. That way the customer could start having Power G sensors, which is great. But it does present a challenge. If and when that customer that had the 345 system, the old Honeywell system, decides they want an extra sensor and you don't have a Power G card installed in there, you put yourself in a bind to say, well, what am I going to do? They don't have a Power G card in there. So you basically reverse the scenario. So be cautious about implementing that solution, but that is something that we've heard of people doing. And of course, if your panel's on the latest software, even an IQ Panel 2 will work with the will work with the Power G daughter card. So Great question, Paul. Thank you for that. Let's see. What's the official latest sunset date? Ronald asked. Good question. Very good question. I know AT&T has formally said February of 2022. That was the last date I heard. I don't have an official date on the Verizon sunset. But as we said earlier, and showed that poll result from the other webinar that we did, 50% of people are saying, regardless of what the official dates are, that doesn't mean that they're going to guarantee service everywhere until that date. They will be ramping those down from now until then. And we're already seeing outages. In fact, I talked to a customer the other day who said that overnight, almost all of their accounts went bad because AT&T sold all their cell towers, their 3G cell towers, to T-Mobile. And so suddenly, almost overnight, they had a flood of, several hundred customers calling in and saying, my system's not working anymore. What do I do? And they had to scramble to react because they thought they had plenty of time. And by thinking they had plenty of time, they missed an opportunity to get those people upgraded. They had to do a lot more work very rapidly. So don't put yourself in that position. Let's see. Lots of questions here. I'm just trying to read these, and there's many of you that have been asking questions that have been answered by our team. And again, big shout out to our TAM team and Whitney White and all the other people that are in the background answering these questions feverishly. So thank you very much. Do you recommend DIT? So Celeste asked, do you recommend DIT with a hardwire system upgrades? I personally do not. I think hardwire is challenging enough and hard enough that it requires a pro. If you've got someone who maybe was a former electrician or a former installer or something like that, maybe you could consider that. But I would personally think that anyone who's got a hardwire or hybrid system where hardwire is involved, that you'd want to do a pro install on that one. So good question. Thank you for that. William asks, do you need to change the sensors on the old system? Great question, William. The answer is no, you don't. As long as it's still speaking the same frequency, either the 345, 319, or 433 megahertz frequency, the panel should enable those sensors automatically. You should be able to learn those in without any problems. Now, you may encounter, it's not unlikely that you will encounter some sensors that have stopped working after a while. Batteries going dead, sensors going bad, whatever it is. I mean, some of these sensors, some of these systems, you've got to admit, have probably been in there for quite a while. And if that's the case, you might have to replace a few sensors here and there. But rather than going and trying to hunt down a 433 sensor, for example, at your local distributor, instead, that's the beauty of every single panel, every single IQ Panel 2 Plus having Power G. You can simply add a Power G sensor to that. And not only do you get, some great encryption and long range, but then of course you'd be able to fill that need for the customer. So we highly recommend, learning in all the existing sensors that work within the home and then replacing sensors with Power G as needed. And I'm guessing many of you on the call today have probably had that exact scenario where not only you've been able to replace those, but you've been able to actually reach out to the customer and say, hey, looks like these sensors are bad. I'm gonna have to charge you more. In fact, I was talking to Jacob, the president of Zion Security, just last week, and he said he had a customer who had a hardwire system and was planning on having 4 to 8, I can't remember how many, a bunch of their hardwire sensors taken over, and it turned out something had happened to the hardwire lines, and the hardwire lines were not making it from the door sensors and window sensors to the panel, so they couldn't redo those. So instead, they replaced them with Power G sensors, and they had a nice conversation with the customer and said, hey, not our fault, but something happened in the build of your house and the construction of your house, whatever, where the lines are not working. We're going to have to replace these with wireless ones, and the customer paid for them. The customer wasn't terribly thrilled about it. I think they were disappointed that they paid for something that didn't work. But, of course, that's not your fault, right? So, but it is going to happen. And again, that's one of the beauties when we talked about, IQ Panel being versatile, in fact, I'll go back to that slide, right? We talk about it being versatile and giving you the ability to do all of it. That really gives you lots and lots of capabilities there. Dennis asked, what about hardwire smokes and carbon monoxide sensors and life safety? I am so glad you asked about life safety. Thank you so much for that, because absolutely life safety can be taken over because of the fact that the 319.5 megahertz is built into the panel, or the 345 or the 433. Because that legacy radio is built into the IQ panel, it can learn in your wireless life safety devices. So if you've got a smoke detector that's a Honeywell smoke detector, it will learn in to the 345 panel. If you've got an old Interlogic smoke detector, it will learn in to the 319 panel. Okay, you can learn those directly in, and it's perfectly legal. It's part of code. It's UL listed for that. So you can absolutely do that. Now, hardwire smokes, you would need a separate device that we have listed for residential fire. It's called the IQ Hardwire 16, and it's available now. You can get it from your distributor. In fact, we've got 2 different versions, and we did a webinar, what was it, probably a month ago, talking about the Hardwire 16 and its 2 versions, the small enclosure and large enclosure, and what it can do and what it can't do. So absolutely, there is, again, very versatile. There's a solution for almost everything. So thank you very much. Let's see. Here's a great question. They said, do you need to have special pricing with your distributor in order to get the LTE rebate? Yes. But that's a good thing. We want everyone to have special pricing. If you don't have special pricing with your distributor, Mackenzie Burt, who's on the line today, helping to answer questions and listening in the background, is helping us with all those. She works with your distributors to get special pricing set up. Email sales@qualsys.com or SPA, special pricing agreement, @qualsys.com, and we'll start the process to get you your special pricing. We'll have to talk to your sales rep, and we'll do a little analysis on what kind of pricing you qualify for. And absolutely, we want everyone to have special pricing. And once you've got that special pricing, you are absolutely eligible for the LTE rebate. So thank you very much for asking that question. Lots of good questions, you guys. Thank you so much. Let's see. Are we going to send, just to confirm, are you sending the sign up for the rebate program again? Kyle asked. Yes, we are. In fact, let me just do this real quick. I'm going to point you guys. I'm going to show you exactly where to go. So I'm going to go to dealers.qualsys.com. Okay, authenticate myself in here. And if you're on the dealer portal, if you don't have access to the dealer portal, you definitely need access. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. You've got training, sales training, and technical training. You can send your whole team through how security systems work and how the Bluetooth works and panel glass break. Your technical teams have lots of great courses, and you can get certified on stuff. We've even got device training now, which has been tremendously popular. We've got lots of downloads. You can download flyers and, the mobile app and, social media stuff. I mean, there's tons and tons of stuff. There's lots of videos. There is tons and tons. And as I scroll all the way here to the bottom, there is a section at the very, very bottom in the footer of every page called LTE Rebate Program. And when you click on that, you will see here's our LTE Rebate Program, and you can see all the information about our LTE rebate Program and how you can work. And at the very bottom of that form is some great videos too. Those are the videos we talked about earlier and talking about your upgrades. And here's your details about the rebate and where you'd fill in the form. So very simple. So again, that's at the very bottom of the dealer portal right there on LTE Rebate Program. So very strong. Let me keep looking at questions here. So thank you for asking that question. And let me see what other questions we've got. All right. What's the simplest solution, Matt asks? What's the simplest solution to upgrading a system with 4 keypads? Great question, Matt. So you got lots of options. Option number 1 would be that you would choose an IQ panel and then use IQ Remote, which is a secondary keypad that you could place in the place of those other keypads. We're also compatible with, I think it's up to 6 Power G keypads if they just want a keypad in a very far place where only Power G can reach and your Wi-Fi can't reach, then you could use a Power G keypad. It is a rubber button keypad, but at least it's a keypad. The other thing I would suggest is more and more people are, especially in a residential scenario, and I don't know about a commercial scenario, you might want to do something different there, but in a residential scenario, voice control can be a great substitute for a keypad. Maybe instead of a keypad in that back bedroom, instead you ensure that their Amazon Echo that they have in there has the alarm.com skill enabled, and they can still do much of what they want to do from voice control, which is really great. Now, I personally love having the IQ Remote because it's got a camera built into it. It's got the ability to use, my lights, locks, thermostats all from the screen. It mirrors the IQ panel's same experience, but on a remote capability. And then it also gives me the ability to view my cameras and see, my video doorbell and things like that. So I love the IQ remote, but in the event that you're not able to do that or want a different solution, you can certainly do that. And you could do that even more. If you've got 4 keypads, you could have the primary plus 3 IQ remotes plus voice control all throughout. And that's what I have in my house, and I absolutely love it. So great question, Matt. Thank you for that. William asks, is there a rep I can discuss further with? Absolutely, William. And all of you, remember, if you don't want to wait to get started, email sales@qualsys.com and we'll set up an appointment with you, meet with you about your own personal scenario and talk about what your situation is and help you get your SPA set up, get everything else that you need to be successful. So let's see. Randy says, I don't think you can learn in life safety technologies from other manufacturers due to the UL listing. That is actually not correct, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, technical team here, as you can't do that if it's going through a translator, because the translator says that if the UL listing says that the translator fails, then the whole system fails, right? But because these devices are being paired directly with the panel, it's the same as you pairing that smoke detector with, that old Interlogix panel. You paired it directly with the old Interlogix panel. Well, now you're going to pair it with a new panel, which is the IQ panel. Now, there is some advice, especially on smoke detectors, that you replace those every 5 years. The sensitivity on those tends to wane over time. Dust and other things gets in them. And so, they recommend that you change those every 5 years. So you might want to consider that as part of it. But, again, that's up to your customer. You decide and consult with them on what they should do. So great questions here. So many great questions. Is Amazon Alexa available on IQ panels in Canada? Gavin asks. Good question. I would assume the answer is yes, but that's probably a better question for your Alarm.com representative, since the skill is enabled through Alarm.com. So talk to your Alarm.com representative, and if, another way to do it would be to look in your Amazon Echo store, your Alexa store, and look up and see if you can find the Alarm.com skill and if it'll let you do it. I think it probably will. But I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I apologize for not knowing that. Boy, there's so many questions. Thank you so much for all of this. When you take over Honeywell devices, Tony asks, is your system certified by ETL or UL to receive signals? Great question, Tony. Yeah, we've got UL certification. And when you're taking over those sensors, then, of course, the UL certification extends to that as well. So I don't think I'm incorrect on that, but I'm the marketing guy, not necessarily the technical person, but everything I understand is that our UL rating and certifications applies to all 3 panels and extends to the sensors that are installed with the system. So, yeah, Sharon just says, it does work with Alexa. The skill is there in Canada. Alexa, tell Alarm.com to lock the front door. Yep, that's a good point. Oh, I think she just heard me. Your front door's already locked, she says. Nice. All right, so let me do this. I wanted to pull out, I know a lot of you guys are asking for the link to apply for the program. Let's put that right here in the chat. I'm going to pull that off the dealer portal. I'm going to send that to everyone, so you've got that there. I'm also going to type in marketing@qualsys.com. So that in the chat as well. I got to spell marketing properly, though. I-N-G. Marketing, that's what I get for one-handed, right? Marketing@qualsys.com is the email that you got this original registration from when you registered for the webinar today, but you can email that for marketing support if you want help building some great imagery, some great pages, some great websites, some great emails, want help getting access to the videos, want the files for things, whatever you need. Even right here on the page that I just gave you a link to, there's a pamphlet here and there's upgrade campaign emails, and you can even download a video, for that for your upgrades. So there's lots of great resources available for there. So that's all there. And then the other email is sales@qualsys.com. And of course, if you want your own personal sunset calculation and you want some help, looking at what your scenario might be and typing in your numbers so you can see where you would land, our team is ready and willing to help you with that. But we really, truly hope this has been beneficial to you. Want to thank everyone who has participated and asked questions and made comments. it's because of you that makes these webinars really great, and we really appreciate all of your time and effort. Just a reminder, we are recording this webinar. It will be available on our YouTube page later on, and you'll also receive a follow-up email tomorrow, I believe it is, with links to everything we talked about, as well as a link to the recording for the webinar if you'd like to watch it again or share it with other people in your organization. But from all of us here at Qualsys, thank you for everything you do. Best of luck to you. Just say no to those LTE Band-Aids and show how you can make more money with IQ Panel. Thank you very much, and good night. And before we leave, I do have a poll that as we close this out, it's going to prompt you with a poll. So I appreciate your participation in our poll today.